So somebody mentioned literacy instruction, right? And if you think the fact that there's 13%, I think it is, of Pennsylvanians adults who lack basic literacy skills, and that percentage is higher for Philadelphia. I think it's over 22%. And if you look at the number of adults in Pennsylvania who are 18 and older, consider them, that's a population of about, let's round it, about 9 million. So if you take 13% times 9 million and 22% times 9 million, right? How do you use, or what are your thoughts on how do you use innovation to address that problem? Because you can't get to what's my career going to be and how I'm going to develop if I don't have the basic literacy skills. Long-winded question, but very interested in your thoughts.
Well, I'm not going to check your math.
I will be.
Let me focus on it a little bit more. I know you're asking from the adult side, but I'll be honest, I know more about early literacy and the K-12 space. And so usually I'll just pretend like I know stuff, but I won't do that tonight. This is the other part of the debate we were having about innovation. Saying like, literacy is one of these areas where we know a lot. I was in the U.S. Department of Education under Clinton, so however many years ago that was, when they first released the Preventing Reading Difficulties in Young Children that was the synthesis of all there ever was known in really high quality science of reading. And I still have a copy highlighted, probably it's signed by those old guys someplace, right? And that was like the first in a series of really good meta-analyses around what we know about how language is developed and how literacy is developed. And we still don't teach that way. We still teach literacy the ways we were always taught, right? And Larry was left with me the other day and I was saying, like, we spent all this time naming, singing the alphabet song. Like, I don't know, that has no relationship to, very little relationship to literacy, right? What matters is you know what sound that letter makes, right? Not what you call it. There's no quiz ever, right? And there are and we know some things about what sequence makes more sense to teach certain letters and sounds, and we don't do it. And someone over here was looking like, why not? Yeah, I can hear you, I can say it, right? Yes, there are challenges in our schools of education. There are challenges with our current teachers and leaders. There is, a cultural shift that has to happen. But I guess that to me is why I'm like, innovation makes me nervous when we know an awful lot right now we could do. But let me be clear. To do that work at scale right now with the teachers we have, who have not been trained with a deep appreciation and understanding of the science of language and literacy development, means we have to invest a lot of time in developing them, right? And the leaders who support them and provide feedback to them. One of the biggest innovations in the last couple of years has been like, one, the acknowledgement that curriculum matters, and two, that there are now a lot more high quality, open access curricula, right? Clear content, scope, and sequence aligned to standards and aligned to the science of reading, for example, as well as to the sequence of teaching math. Whether or not folks purchase those and use them is another challenge. And we don't talk about teaching and learning as a cultural shift, but so much of this is about making cultural shifts, right? As teachers, I don't know about the rest of you guys, when we were trained, you went home at night in your teacher ed program and you had to develop your own lesson plans, and they had to come out of the sky. Nobody ever gave you the textbooks of the districts you were going to work in, and there's this sort of notion that the more original it was, the better. That's crazy, And I say to teachers in every district I've worked with, my job is to help you do less hunting and gathering. Right? You shouldn't have to be online all night. Here are some quality materials that have been curated for you. Here's some best practices. Here's the science. We've trained you in this. We want you to teach this way in a way that makes sense to you. You're going to customize, and we're going to provide you feedback and support to do that. We don't do that at scale. That's not an easy answer where people say, okay, what can I buy then? Because that's usually what people say to me afterward. Like, okay, so do you need 10 coaches? Do you need more materials? But it is that kind of comprehensive work that gets us to the kind of scale you're talking about and helps get at this issue.